Right now on Sports Extra, it's been a better week for the Braves, who picked up a handful of wins against their division rival Phillies. Plus, it's that time of year again. The Hawks are in the play-in tournament this week. Could they make a run? And spring football is also in the books. Our biggest takeaways from Georgia and Georgia Tech.
You know, you can pull some good out of everything. You can pull some bad out of everything. I'm going to choose to look at the good.
Well, right now, I'm ready to go get in the car and go home and watch the film.
We've got a lot of work to do in terms of off season and getting ourselves where we need to be for next year.
If they want to have a chance to have a really good or a great football team, right? Then from this point on, everyone will make the commitment and to themselves and each other.
Oh, and by the way, Roy McIlroy is finally a Masters champion. I've got my green jacket on. We're talking everything exciting today, Sports Extra, with my buddies at the desk, and it starts right now. Oh, yes. Welcome into Sports Extra, everybody. I'm Reggie Chatman. I'm clearly not Maria Martin, and it's her birthday today, so she's enjoying a deserved day off, so I'm taking the reins tonight. And believe it or not, it's been a better week for your Atlanta Braves. Let's get right into it, and let me direct your attention to this. The Braves actually went 500 on the week, taking 2 of 3 from Philly before dropping 2 out of 3 versus Tampa. Atlanta is now 4-10 on the year, but of course, still plenty of baseball left to play.
Glass half's full. I mean, because we got too much baseball to play. And this thing, I've been, we've seen it the last few years. We can turn this thing around and run off a good streak, too. So we just got to hang in there and compartmentalize it and take it a day at a time and go out and win a game tomorrow.
So much to talk about on our show today, and we're going to, of course, talk about the Braves, and we've got Jarvis Davis, Matt Stewart, both alongside me. We're going to get right into the business, because here's the deal. I asked them questions. They give me answers. We all get smarter at the end of the day, and you guys at home get a chance to talk to people on Twitter or at the water cooler and maybe sound a little bit smarter. Braves, 3 wins this week. Really, the question for you, Matt, just to start, is what was the difference after what was such a terrible start of this last week? Seemed to have found some momentum.
Well, number one, they weren't playing with a full deck at the start of the season. And number two, they were playing 2 of the best teams in the National League on the road, San Diego and Los Angeles. So I think they made a big difference to get back home. And to win that series against the Phillies, I think is a big boost. And this coming week, as they get more and more players back, including Spencer Strider, who we'll talk about in a few moments, that's going to be big for them. Now,
you mentioned 2 of those wins versus the Phillies, a massive victory. They come back home, handle business against a team that is clearly a rival. What does a series win against the top team in the division really mean to this club that's really been struggling so far this year?
It's on the back of a guy that carried his team last year, Marcell Ozuna. For him to get hot and start looking like he did last year, I feel like he can help carry this team like he did last year when they were dealing with all those injuries. And this is the time of the year that you're looking for the 1 or 2 guys to kind of start heating up. And then we know in baseball, if one doing well, the other one's going to try to do the same. So yeah, that's what we need right now as far as when it comes to the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, look, and I think we talked about off camera. I mean, it's a group that people here from this area just don't like at all. So you get a win over the Phillies is big time. We mentioned Marcell Ozuna, that walk-off home run deep into the night. I know that I went to sleep. Our producer Megan was actually there and watched the whole thing go down. What does it mean, and what has he meant to this team so far this year? Really last year, too, when injuries and other things have piled up for this team.
Well, the home run actually came after 1 a.m., so it was actually early in the morning, not deep into the night, but you get the picture. No, he's huge. I mean, he had 3 hits that opening week out in San Diego and Los Angeles. He's had 12 hits since, and he had 3 homers and 6 RBI this past week, hitting .326 right now. So it's great to have Marcell playing the way he's playing, and they're going to get Ronald Acuna Jr. back sooner than later. So those 2 together would be excited to see those guys back in the lineup together.
Guys coming back so far has worked pretty well so far. So Marcell Ozuna, walk-off winner, he's got 3 home runs this year. And right behind him, or actually tied with him, is Sean Murphy, who just came back 5 days ago, or 5 games ago. What an incredible start to the year for him. Sean Murphy, what does he bring to this team other than just more leadership and a better bat? What kind of energy does he bring to this group?
he's the type of guy that everyone is rooting for because you know what like you mentioned, you know what he brings to the table when it comes to defensively, right? And what you want to see is Sean Murphy bringing that bat, like that type of power. That's what you want to see from a guy like Sean Murphy. That's why the Braves went out and Alex Anthopoulos went out and got a guy like Sean Murphy and brought him in because you want to be able to add some pop from that catcher spot. And I think that's going to be one of those things. Like you're talking about those 1 or 2 guys, Marcell Ozuna, Sean Murphy. If those guys start going yard, you understand that, hey, this team can go on a run if they continue to play like this.
And you hope to see some better performances out of Austin Riley, right? The first week of the season, not great, right? The second half of this last week, a lot better. He's hitting .487 over the last 7 days. Obviously had the rough start. What has been the difference so far over the last week?
Well, good to see him show up finally after he was MIA that first week of the season. So, yeah, I think you have to also remember that he got hurt, hit his wrist, broke his wrist at the end of last season and did not finish the season with the Braves in the playoffs. So there's some residual from that. You've had spring training ball. He's an all-star. I don't worry about Austin Riley. He'll be there.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you about the worry factor. You don't seem very worried about him. A person that people should probably be worried about. Chris Sale won the Cy Young last year. So far this year, a 6.63 ERA through 4 starts. Hasn't gone past 5 innings this year. How worried are you about Chris Sale, the big lefty?
I'm super worried. He's 36 years old. Who expected
36?
Who expected him to have a Cy Young candidacy last year and actually go out and go win that award? And he was dominant last year. You can't expect that coming into this season because Alex Anthopoulos it's on him because he didn't really bring any starting caliber guys in here to kind of challenge that and be prepared for that. And that's not like Alex Anthopoulos because he's always been a guy to kind of have the foresight to kind of look forward. Okay, I know I have this guy in this particular spot, but what if he gets injured? Who I'm going to bring in? And the Braves don't have an answer to that right now.
My concern with Chris Sale is, number one, he was not healthy to answer the bell at the end of last season when the Braves needed him the most. It was great that he won the Cy Young Award, but when they needed him at the end of the regular season and in the playoffs, he couldn't play. So that's where my concern starts, and it continues on into this season. We all know that he's had an injury-plagued career, and he was that way, and it was super what he did last year. I want to see him get healthy soon.
To show you the difference
if he's not
between
already. If he's not healthy, it is just bad pitching, whatever.
Just to put to the difference between last year and this year, right? Gave up at least 3 runs in all 4 starts this year. He did that a total of 3 times in 2024, so he's definitely going to have to step it up. A guy that we hope steps it up once he finally gets back is Spencer Strider, a player that has had an incredible career so far. Obviously was injured for most of last year, a chance to come back what looks like on Wednesday. Jarvis, what can he bring to this rotation that clearly has had some issues and had some injuries, and hopefully he can come back and make something shake?
The cheese, the high cheese, man. Bring it. We need that. 99, 100 miles per hour, man. He was killing it down there in Gwinnett, man. They could not get a hit on him. He was unhittable. He was exactly what we used to seeing from a guy like Spencer Strider. So, but the big thing for me, I'm not concerned. I mean, I'm not as excited about Spencer Strider as I am concerned about them getting these bats going, because Spencer is a guy that I know what to expect from him. As long as he's healthy, we know exactly what we're going to get: the high cheese and a lot of whiffs. But for me, in order for this team to get this thing turned around, they have to start getting hits with runners in scoring position.
All right, look, before we go to break, I want to make sure we give a big shout out to the University of Georgia baseball team, man. They snapped Arkansas's 12-game SEC win streak Saturday, walked them off in extra innings a little bit earlier today. Matt Stewart, you were on the call today.
I was on the call.
How seriously should we take this team after a massive series win?
Well, very serious, because if Georgia can be a top 8 national seed, and right now they would be that, and I see no reason why they won't be that, they've got a great chance to get to Omaha, because top 8 national seed means you host a regional, means you host a super. If you win it, they're 23-2 at home. They lead the nation in home runs, and the good sign for the Bulldogs is that their pitching, their starting pitching and their bullpen starting to look better as the season goes on. I expect them to be in Omaha.
Ooh, a trip to Omaha would be very exciting. I'd love to be able to see that. All right, coming up, once again, we're talking about the Hawks in the play-in tournament. Could they make the most of it this season? All that and more. Coming up next. All right, welcome back to Sports Extra, and welcome back to postseason basketball for your Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta closed out the regular season on a win over the Magic behind a triple-double from Keaton Wallace as the starters on both ends on Sunday, definitely sat on down. They'll all be back for the Hawks versus Magic in the play-in tournament that begins on Tuesday. Matt and Jarvis still with me to help to get us ready for game one of what a lot of fans are probably hoping will be a long run through the postseason. Our job is to discuss what it will actually be. Hawks won 2 of 3 games between these two clubs when the starters actually played, Matt. What team should we expect from the Hawks? It's been kind of a roller coaster this season.
No doubt. I mean, these are two teams that are 500, so that means half the time they play well enough to win, half the time they don't. I think they hit threes, they close out on threes, they deny passing lanes and driving lanes. They can beat the Magic. I don't see any reason why they can't. Then they play the Celtics, and then you can probably figure out what's going to happen there. And the same thing here. But I look at this, the play-in tournament, I look at it like this. To me, it's kind of like the NCAA tournament, first four when you got the 16 seeds. They get to play each other. Somebody gets to say they won.
Yes.
And then they play the number one seed and get blown out in the second round. That's what they have in the NBA now.
Yeah. I think this is one of those deals where I like the idea of a guy like Zachary Richardson getting that experience in the playoffs, quote unquote, in the play-in tournament. And hopefully they are able to get to that space where they're actually playing against the Cleveland Cavaliers. If they don't, they got the Celtics. Yay! How about that for a consolation prize?
Exactly.
But yeah, I think overall this is all about experience, getting these young guys experience, because Hawks are a young team. Trae Young's been in the league for a while, but they have a very young core, and I think that this is going to be good experience for them.
You mentioned Zach. All right, we got to talk about Zach, right? 38 against Brooklyn, had 36 versus Milwaukee last month. A strong finish to the year. They're trying to push the agenda. Is he the Rookie of the Year, Jarvis?
He should be. I think he should be he's a strong candidate, because when you talk about two-time Rookie of the Month, and I think when a guy like Richardson is on, he's efficient as all get out, man. Just look at the numbers. When I think he had 38 the other night and get a career high. He's just a guy that just can go and be efficient. This might be blasphemous if I say it, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Okay.
He reminds me of a Kevin Durant.
That's wild.
I'm not saying he is Kevin Durant.
He
reminds me of a Kevin Durant, just how efficient he is, because it's just so easy for him to get shots off.
So I said Jason Tatum. Hall of Famer. No.
I said Jason Tatum. So I'm not much better.
I think Richardson deserves Rookie of the Year. Now, whether he gets it or not, I don't know, because of the Atlanta bias. And I think the San Antonio Spurs are a sexier team to the national media than the Atlanta Hawks are.
Well, and plus you think about it, he won that dunk contest performance was really good. He played a lot of minutes in the Rising Stars game, won the MVP of that. So, in the NBA, lots of times is a situation where guys are it's just who you see.
Yeah. But come on now. We're talking about a team that's actively tanking. Like, everybody knows the Spurs are trying to get who, Mr. Flag. So, yeah, I like Richardson because he's played more meaningful minutes, and he's had more meaningful, production. And I think that Stephon Castle, you're the starter. We're gonna let you figure it out, and hopefully we lose.
Well, I like the way he closed the regular season.
He did close the regular season really well. I mean, a guy that's closed a lot of games really well, Trae Young. He's going up for Clutch Player of the Year, most game-winning shots in the league, most clutch assists, overall most assists. Man, is this the best we've seen from good old Trae Young?
I mean, maybe statistically, but look, to me it's a team sport, and until the Hawks are legitimately making a push in the Eastern Conference and being a contender in the playoffs, which this year they're not. The play-in's nice, but they're not there. I love Trae Young, and I think he takes a brunt of criticism that he doesn't deserve. And he's not the best defensive player in the world, but there's a lot of players in the league that aren't the best defensive players in the world that get a lot of publicity and pats on the back. So. But I don't. It's hard for me to say that because the team's not going anywhere this year.
Well, we'll see what happens once the play-in finally starts. All right, let's switch gears right now as we get to one of the best sporting events on the entire planet. The Masters certainly lived up to the hype all week long, but especially the final couple of holes. And it was a roller coaster day for Rory McIlroy. Up and down the entire day on the 18. Misses the putt right here, has to settle for bogey, and we're going to a sudden death playoff with Justin Rose having a strong first two shots. Rose going for the birdie just to the right. Can't get it down, but here's a chance for Rory, a time and a chance to make history. Sinks the putt and cements himself in that history. Rory McIlroy is this year's Masters champion and finally completes the career Grand Slam. An incredible victory for Rory, and it really was a whole lot of fun to watch, Jarvis, because it was a little shaky there near the end.
Oh yeah, it was definitely shaky because when you think about him, he and Bryson DeChambeau had got tied up at one point, and then DeChambeau started to fall off, and then you had Justin Rose making the push towards the end. It was actually fascinating to watch.
Real quick, his legacy. What does this mean for Rory?
Yeah, you could see how emotional he was at the end when he won it. It meant that much to him. It was just as big that he won that he didn't lose it, because he's one of the greatest golfers of all time. He's one of the 6 that have ever won the complete career Grand Slam. So that would have been too much of a burden for him to bear had he not won it today after leading going into the final round. Been in this position many times before and hadn't gotten it done. So I'm happy for him that he did, because I didn't want to have him wear that albatross around his neck.
Especially if it went as bad as it looked like it could have gone if he didn't get it done there. Whew. All right, whole lot of fun, especially the spring games over this weekend. Spring's officially in the books for all of our local teams. Our biggest takeaways from between the hedges and out on the flats. We got that after the break. Welcome back to Sports Extra, everybody. Spring football is officially in the books for our area teams. KSU went last week, Georgia State on Friday, then Georgia and Georgia Tech both on Saturday. Let's start with the Dogs. Game not on TV, but the red team beat the black team 34-17, if you care about that sort of thing. The big talking point was the QB play. Gunnar Stockton and Ryan Puglisi both had highs, both had some lows, both had a touchdown pass, both had some interceptions. What do you like about those guys? Is it actually a competition like Kirby wants to make us think it might be?
No, I think Gunner's going to be the number 1 quarterback, and all due respect to Paul Feinbaum, who was on national television on Saturday, saying that Georgia is slipping back because of their quarterback situation. Number 1, Georgia's not slipping back, and number 2, it's not because of their quarterback situation, because they're not slipping back at all. I think Georgia's going to be okay with Gunnar Stockton. I'm a firm believer in Gunnar Stockton. I was a firm believer in him when he took over and played in the Sugar Bowl, the national semifinal. I think Georgia's going to be okay. I will say this: Georgia won't be throwing the ball 88 times or even 44 times, half of the 88, which they did in spring. They'll get back to the running game, but it's the spring game, and the way the rules are built. Your quarterback doesn't get hit, sling the ball.
Daniel Harris had a big day in the secondary. Linebackers Chris Cole, Justin Williams showed some flashes. This defense always loses guys, but they also seem to find guys out of nowhere. Do you have a reason to be worried about this defense, or is there something else that you're worried about, Jarvis?
Oh, it's the offense, man. I'm not concerned about the defense because Kirby Smart, that's his wheelhouse. That's how he made his money. That's how he became the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. So I'm not concerned about that. My biggest concern for the Georgia Bulldogs this year has to be those 4 stars that left that offensive line. Talking about Dylan Fairchild, Xavier Truss, Jared Wilson, and Tate Ratledge. So yeah, when you think about those guys going on to the NFL, and maybe Jared Wilson, they didn't probably expect him to go to the league after being a one-year starter. So I think that's the thing that I'm concerned about, because they won a good running football team last year. So now you're expecting these new guys to come in and say, hey, we're going to come in here and run the football, and Gunnar Stockton is going to be able to play off of that and make those passes downfield to guys like Kobe Young. I don't know if that's a recipe for success.
Well, especially you mentioned that the fact that they're probably not going to throw it as much, so it'll look a little bit different. Now, speaking of a team that doesn't really throw the ball a whole lot, really leans on the run, Tech had their white and gold game on Saturday as well. This was on TV, but the highlights here are coming from my camera. It came down to the wire as Aaron
Which is
Philo,
better anyway.
Yeah, talk about it. Aaron Philo threw this touchdown right here as time was about to run down, went to a 2-point conversion to decide it. It did not get completed, so the game was over. Team Reckham got the win. Not much Haynes King, not much Jamal Haynes, but what does this group give you or make you feel like as offensively what they'll look like in 2025? Is it really quarterback competition either?
No, I don't think so. I think Hayden King is the number 1, but Aaron Philo gives them a great insurance policy, and we didn't just see it in the spring game. We saw it last year in actual games. This young man has great command of the offense. He's got a great composure. He's got a great temperament, and then you got his buddy from Prince Avenue Christian, Bailey Stockton, to catch passes. He had a big spring game, and Zion Taylor had a big spring game catching passes as well. I think Tech offensively is going to be okay. It's hard to judge on defense in these spring games simply because they don't want them to play defense in these spring games. They don't want them hitting people.
Well, look, the defense is being led by a new man, Blake Gideon, after Tyler Santucci left for the job for the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens. The secondary had a couple of interceptions. Jarvis, what kind of defense what do you want to see from this group heading into this next year?
One that can close out games, right?
Okay.
Because when you think about what this offense does. Buster Faulkner is one of my favorite assistants in the entire country because the guy is masterful. That game against the Bulldogs last year to end the season was absolutely amazing. I was there live and in person. It was a beauty to watch. So I'm not concerned on that end. But when you think about having guys that can kind of finish games, the defense has to be able to get stops. Give the offense extra possessions by turning teams over. Those are some of the things that I'm expecting from this defense, because if they're able to do those things, you're talking about a team that can really compete in the ACC.
Before we go, your thoughts on Brent Key, the job that he's done so far in his career at Georgia Tech. It seems like even though the program had the same record the last couple of years, it feels like they're moving in the right direction.
No, they're definitely moving in the right direction. They made the right call when they decided to retain Brent Key, and he's only proven that to be correct in my mind. I expect them to continue to make strides, and I agree with you. Even though they lost to Georgia on a Friday night, I mean, that was a huge step for them. Yeah, that was
under the lights, national TV.
And this year they get them an MBS. It'll be interesting to see. But I think they've made great strides. Whether they beat Georgia, this year or in the next decade, I think they've made great strides.
It's going to be a whole lot of fun this season. I like when both Georgia and Georgia Tech are good. It makes the rivalry a whole lot more fun. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. We've got one more thing going on after the commercial break as Reggie's Agenda makes its return. That's next. All right, welcome back to Sports Extra. It's our final block, and it's called Reggie's Agenda. I want to take a moment to talk about college football, and I'm going to brush past the Nico Iamaleava drama to talk about spring games. Clearly, a lot's changing in this sport, and instead of trying to fight it, it's time to start adjusting to it. I fear that spring games will soon be something of the past, as programs like Georgia aren't even televising them anymore, and some schools are just doing shortened practices. My fix would be to do what Colorado and Syracuse tried to do and have an end-of-the-year spring practice against another team. The NCAA shut that down this year, but the door isn't totally closed. It's a chance to bring some juice to a game that usually isn't super well attended, and an opportunity for teams to get some young guys some real playing time. Look, the 12-team playoff was a lot of fun. The transfer portal overall has been a plus. NIL has been shaky, but at least it's been something to get some players some money. Time to add some extra juice to the end of every spring with a spring preseason game that'll carry us through the spring and into the summer. Thank you guys so much for coming on and watching Sports Extra. We got a big week as plenty of things are going on, including the play-in tournament. The Atlanta Hawks, how far can they go? We've got you covered all week long here on 11 Live. We'll see you next week. Happy birthday, Maria.